John. God bless.
And welcome to the regular meeting of the council of the city of Long Beach on Tuesday, July 16th, 2019, 7 p.m. Roll call, Councilmember Bendel.
Present.
Councilmember Mandel. Councilmember Moore.
Present.
Vice President Diamond. President Aramo is absent. The record indicating the presence of acting city manager Robert Agostisi and Assistant Corporation Counsel Gregory Kalensky. Round salute to the flag.
I'm going to ask Commissioner Kevin and Mr. Waters to do it from the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Kevin, take your voting card. Before we begin tonight, we would just like to hold a moment of silence, and I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Kevin to discuss with us Michael Orner, who is the captain of the Long Beach Fire Department, who served as a volunteer for over 30 years, who recently lost his life. I'm going to ask that we just pause for a moment of silence, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. A week and a half ago, we laid ex-Captain Michael Ornell to rest. Mike was a personal friend of mine for over 30 years. He served the city of Long Beach as a volunteer firefighter for 30 years. Prior to that, he served as a 3-4 firefighter for 11 years. He also recently retired approximately 4 years ago from working for the county of Nassau as the Nassau County Fire Dispatcher. He dedicated his entire life to fire service of Nassau County, New York State. He was president of the Nassau County Parade Officials. He was our go-to guy anytime we needed any resources throughout the county. He was the guy we called. Unfortunately, when I was planning his funeral and we needed resources, he wasn't there for me to call. But the citizens of Long Beach owe him a debt of gratitude. He responded with the Long Beach Fire Department into Ground Zero. He worked there tirelessly after the initial down at the pile. He went to fish kill, and unfortunately, he succumbed to, he was diagnosed in December with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which spread to his liver, and unfortunately, he lasted approximately 6 months. But thank you for the moment of silence and honor tonight.
I just want to say that I was just so very, very proud of the city of Long Beach in terms of our fire department, really granting really a beautiful send-off for our fallen hero. And I hope that as a city, we would go ahead and celebrate his life by making sure that our flag will be sent to the family along with a letter to once again express our gratitude towards him for all of his service.
That was something, the members of the council had some discussions and not all agreed that that was an appropriate, response on behalf of the city. So thank you, Councilwoman Moore. Thank you, Commissioner. We can move to the side.
We're going to call the agenda out of order tonight. So first item we're going to hear is item number 3, resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the county of Nassau for consolidation of sewage treatment resources and services.
Commissioner?
The sewer consolidation project for Long Beach is probably one of the most important environmental and financial projects that we will take on in the city. Before I talk about the details of the project, I would like to say that while we have a 70-year-old plant, we're fortunate that we have very well-trained, very dedicated wastewater plant operators that run the plant on a day-to-day basis, and they actually get the plant to meet up to its capabilities. Unfortunately, the plant is 70 years old, and it needs a lot of love and care. But our operators do a great job. We are faced with the consent order from the DEC, and at this point, we're either faced with consolidating with Nassau County or meeting the new ammonia standards. To upgrade our plant to meet the ammonia standards, we're talking in the neighborhood of $50 million over the next 7 years to meet the consent order if we don't consolidate the plant. This includes upgrading our treatment filters to remove ammonia, includes repairs to the digester system. It includes sludge removal upgrades. And recently we, because the plant is old, we did have one of the covers on the digester fail. We're looking at an extensive amount of money to replace that cover. The plant will continue to show its age and will continue to cost huge sums of capital money to upgrade. And the Bay Park plant treats about up to 70 million gallons of waste a day. We treat about 4.2 million gallons a day. Any new treatment trains that go on certainly are much more economical when they're treating 70 million gallons a day than when you try to do the same thing to treat 4 million gallons a day. Now, these numbers only include those numbers that we estimated in 2012 based on known standards that we're going to have to meet in the next 7 years. There's still nitrate level standards that are going to come out, and we don't have cost figures in that. There's going to be significant cost to upgrade the plant to meet those, and probably soon in the future we'll be having to meet removal of pharmaceuticals from the wastewater. So this plant is just going to keep bleeding money. And in addition, replacing our collection system. So this project is really, I think, very important to the citizens of Long Beach. I think in the long run, environmentally, for what it does to Reynolds Channel, removing nitrates and removing ammonia concentrations plus sediments in the canals will be a very positive environmental impact economically for Reynolds Channel. At this time, and I also think we were very fortunate to get a very good deal with Nassau County. I think it definitely favors the citizens of Long Beach. A lot of hard work went into it with our legal team, and as well as our deputy commissioner and myself working on the technical end. So at this time, to discuss the details of the agreement, I'm going to turn it over to Harris Beach Council, Keith Corbett.
Wait, but just before we talk about the details of the deal with the county, why don't you just a little bit describe what the actual consolidation will entail?
Okay, we have a
The
5
project itself, not.
Okay, I'm sorry. We have a 5-acre site with all the different treatment vessels and treatment trains that bring our treatment up to secondary treatment. What will happen to that plant, the county will take over about an acre of that plant, build a pump station, and then from that pump station, we will build a pipeline that will go across Reynolds Channel into Pearsall's Hassock and up to Bay Park. And eventually, when the plant is turned over, our entire collection system will pump into that pump station, and the pump station will pump untreated wastewater to Bay Park, where it will be treated in the Bay Park plant. Eventually, Bay Park is under consent order to remove their discharge to Reynolds Channel, and they will be sending their waste, their treated waste, up to Cedar Creek plant in Montauk, where there's a 3-mile outfall to the ocean, and you have treated effluent will be pumped out to the ocean, which will be much more environmentally friendly.
So quick question, Commissioner, do you know how long this build out will take?
Probably, it will take a couple of years to build the entire project. There's almost 4 miles of 24-inch force main. There's a building of the pump station, lobby of the pump station, and then when the switchover is made, there is the decommissioning of the rest of the structures of our plant, which, by the way, will also leave about 4 acres of waterfront property within the city for use.
Do we have any indication of the impact this might have when Suez takes over on billing rates?
I'm going to defer that to Keith Corbett in his discussion on rates. He will discuss all that, how we will take care of our debt service and how the rates will go once our debt service is handled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening to the council, and thank you to Commissioner Miranda for the presentation. As many of you know, prior to our engagement, prior to getting involved in the project, the DEC entered into a consent order with the city. So New York State has already required that you enter into an IMA to comply with their decrees. At the same time that happened, DEC entered into an agreement with the County of Nassau. Your requirement to enter into an IMA the county's requirement that they take your report. But they meet their requirement after the end of this project, which is an impetus for them to keep moving forward. Before we get into details, there is talk of this being probably the most environmentally sensitive project in the state of New York. We've had significant discussions with the governor's office, with DEC, with EFC, and you know there's a consolidated funded application, which we're currently working on to seek more funding from the state and other governments. Just so the residents are aware, I mean, Bay Park, together with the Long Beach Sewer Facility, puts probably about 12 million gallons of treated sewage into Reynolds Channel daily, and that's a conservative estimate. So as we speak and we're sitting here today, that's being dumped in the Reynolds Channel. Majority from Bay Park, the city of Long Beach, there's no way the city of Long Beach would probably afford to build an outfall pipe to take it all the way out. The ocean, which is more than likely why DEC put those requirements in the 2 separate consent orders. What's happening here is we obviously have a negotiated agreement in the shadows of DEC kind of coming down on the city and coming down on the county. We've been at this for a better part of 3 years, going back and forth. I believe we have before you what is a very financially viable alternative that will protect the citizens of Long Beach, the taxpayers mostly. As Commissioner Miranda pointed out, conservative estimates from 2012, $50 million if you don't do this to comply with fines, penalties, and the treatment that's required by DEC. That's just to treat the sewage better, but you're still dumping it into Reynolds Channel. The deal we were able to work out with the county in the IMA, this council years ago passed a bond authorization when we originally went through funding. You will not have to spend a penny more than was previously authorized by a previous council. That's a $250 million, you do nothing, or $6.3 million of an overall project with this IMA. Additionally, in the terms of this agreement only covers, obviously, transferring the sewer system to the County of Nassau. They will turn your facility into a pump station. They will pump it through an outfall pipe across to Bay Park. From Bay Park, they'll have the necessary effluent from your system to put it to Cedar Creek, which will take it out to the ocean. The fact of the matter is, the $77 million price tag on this project is borne by the County of Nassau. The city's contribution to that is an authorization that was done by previous council. It was around 26.3, the majority of which that money was already received in the first funding round we did for the CFA back in 2017, and we're going into 2019. So we look at it from the perspective of what's required to be done and what's happening. You get the effluent, you get the treated sewage out of Reynolds Channel. You will clean up any Reynolds Channel for generations to come. The cost to the city is a pittance of what it would be if you just complied with the DEC, but you still be dumping the sewage into the channel. One added benefit to this, as you know, at some point when the rest of the plant is left in, they're just going to take a portion that becomes a pump station. You still have a facility, the other 2.5 to 3 acres left, which will no longer have to be utilized. At some point, that will have to be decommissioned or demolished, there's no use for it anymore. Part of the agreement with the county is that money that we've already committed to as a ceiling, not to be a penny more than was previously awarded in the prior CFA, can also be used by the city towards demolition or deconstruction of the existing facility. So you have the option of contributing towards the cost of the project or doing demolition and decommission of the prior facility. We believe it is a financially advantageous project for the city. We do believe it protects this council, hopefully protects the taxpayers, obviously pay for this council and city services. And I think it's an option right now that you have a lot of levels of government, from the state through the DEC and even down to local, that makes it financially viable. I'm open to questions or comments that the council may have, or even anyone from the public. And it's our hope that tonight at the negotiations we agreed upon. As you know, the county of Nassau has already heard this IMA. The Nassau County Legislature yesterday approved the county executive to enter into this agreement 18-1. We're hopeful tonight we'll have a vote of this body so that we can move forward to something consolidated funding application, which goes and has to be submitted on July 22nd. So I mean, we're kind of lining up to get there. I know I've met with the council members individually, but I'm happy to answer any other questions anyone has, or anyone from the public. And I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Any further council questions?
Yeah, if you could just address to the people, what they could expect to see in their bills. Will they stay about the same?
That's an excellent question. I'm sorry that I heard you ask it, Commissioner Miranda. The fact of the matter is, every year this city adopts their annual sewer rents. Those sewer rents every year are to cover the debt service. There was bonds that were put out years ago. Every year when you adopt the sewer rents like you did, I believe, just recently, you're covering the debt service. There's three parts to this project. There's a pre-construction phase, which is what the county's already engaged in RFQs for contracts with developers to build the outfall pipes. There's construction, we actually start building, and then there's the connection fee. Connection is when the pipe actually connects to Bay Park and the effluent leaves. At the connection time, the full liability for the sewer system is on the county. The city of Long Beach is out of the sewer business. All the pipes, everything goes to the county, you move on. Up until that point, you have to keep doing what you've always done. You have to have sewer rents that cover the debt service. So I don't foresee any change incrementally what you've been doing over the years. You're going to continue to do what you've always done, cover the debt service, which is what you would have done because it was financially responsible to do so, whether you gave it to the county or not. At some point, though, just so everyone, full disclosure, everyone's aware, at some point in the city, when the county connects, the county will have to wrap them into their own district, because as of now, they don't have a mechanism for the bills to be generated, and that's, down the line. And at that point, that would be, as you can imagine, right now, the cost of your sewer system only gets distributed across the residents of Long Beach. Once you wrap it with the county, that will get distributed across the residents of Nassau County, obviously a much wider berth of people to bear the cost. So for the foreseeable future, until connection, it's just to cover the debt service, which has always been the sewer rates.
Questions from the public?
Okay, hi, this is Scott Hoffman. How you guys doing? Okay, I'm here to support you saying yes to this IMA agreement. This is 15 years in the making to get the sewer discharge pipes out of Reynolds Channel. This is a piece of the puzzle that the state has put together to restore our western bays. As you know, there was a 3-year scientific study done by Stony Brook that proved that any discharge into Reynolds Channel does not flow into the ocean. So there's 3.5 million gallons from Long Beach and 50 million gallons from Bay Park that just sits in Reynolds Channel and destroys it. And we've all been watching it over this 15 years. The state funded $830 million to Bay Park to restore it, which includes hardening it against future storms. Bay Park removes more nitrogen and ammonia than Long Beach does. And they have surpassed DEC's discharge guidelines, which Long Beach really cannot meet. Last estimate to upgrade Long Beach plant is around $100 million to get it up to the right amount of ammonia and nitrogen removal, which we all know we don't have that money. Governor Cuomo and the state DEC, they are very specific. They will not give Long Beach funds to restore our plant. They will help build and fund this pipeline, but they won't give us any more money to upgrade this. They're gonna give us money to divert the Bay Park to Cedar Creek, and this is the overall plan, and Long Beach has to be part of it, and that's why this consent order is there. This vote will improve the quality of our residents, as there is no odor control in our wastewater treatment plant. And we all know that when the wind blows, that stench is terrible. It will improve the quality of the water in Reynolds Channel, restore the marshlands that is vital to protect us from future storms, restore the birds and animals that live in our marshes and is vital to our ecosystem, restore finfish and shellfish that will have a large, huge economic impact on bringing money into Long Beach. It will also restore recreation and swimming into our area, which with the heavy metals and everything that's inside that water, we just can't swim in. The cost is too expensive to say no. So I want to thank you for saying yes to this vote.
Legislator Ford, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Good evening, Denise Ford, thank you for letting me speak about this. As you know, last night we did pass it, as Keith has said, 18-1. And I do urge, this is a very significant project that really will benefit our environment, and will benefit overall, basically, the environment, will help everybody here, also in the city of Long Beach. It can be very emotional, because, you know, when we first were looking at this and taking the Long Beach sewage plant and changing it into a pumping station, that was one issue. But the previous city manager had entered into an agreement and discussions with the county, unbeknownst to a lot of us, to also include the collection system, which we call our outside plant, or I don't know all the proper terms. So, you know, while I fully support this project, and I urge you to support it as well, I do want to say that I hope that you take a look at this and realize that the employees that now currently work in the sewage treatment plant and that work out in the streets for each and every single one of us, that you make sure that not one person loses his or her job, because it's very, very important. Because according to the IMA that was signed, the county is under the impression that their employees will be protected by the city. And that is why we had written in the IMA that we are not going to take any employees into the county. But I mentioned yesterday to them to make sure that if something happens, that we look at that issue of the IMA. I just want to let everybody know that, I saw that slip of paper. This sewage treat, the pumping station and all of the outside collection system will be the property of the county. It is not going to be owned by a private entity. Suez manages and operates the sewage treatment plant over in Bay Park. They don't own it, we own it. And once this project is done, this is going to be the property of the Nassau County. And that is why yesterday we authorized the okay of the $66 million worth of bonds, just in case if the funding that we're seeking does not come through. And when we look at changing into a pumping station, doing the pipe to go up to the Bay Park sewage treatment plant, we know the cost of that. They are putting in for grants, I believe Keith had said 24 million. There's a possibility that we may be able to get some other additional money from GOSER to help offset this cost. So, and when we look at this, you know, our backs are basically against the wall to a certain degree on this, because a consent decree was signed by with both administrations, with the New York State DEC, and embedded into that happens to be that if you do not comply, okay, either the city or the county, if you do not comply and you don't meet the deadline of upgrading, like say, to upgrade the sewage treatment plant here in the city of Long Beach, we in the county estimate that cost to bring you into full compliance with New York State to avoid any future fines is probably about $150 million. So it's not just the 50 million. But if you decide that you don't want to do this, you're not going to pump it over to the Bay Park Sewage Treatment Plant, you will be looking at that if you don't meet that deadline, and it's a short deadline, that you will be fined $37,000 a day by New York State DEC. That was what we were faced with yesterday, we passed it. So, and the DEC is very, very serious about getting this done. And I know that some people were concerned about how much sewage Long Beach is going to be added over to the Bay Park Sewage Treatment Plant, but there's a station in Barnes Avenue, over in West Hempstead, or Hempstead, is not going to be pumping to Bay Park, it's going to be pumping to Cedar Creek instead. So there's a lot of components to all of this, and I really wish that, once again, that you had had public hearing on this much prior to this, before even an IMA was considered, even considering the outside plan for the collection system, so the residents could weigh in on whether or not that should go to the county or should stay with the city. But unfortunately, at this point, we'll have to put that back against the wall, and there's nothing else that we can do unless we do vote for this. And I urge you, please, to join the Nassau County Legislature on this. Thank you.
Hello, Mary Wallace, at Long Beach. I have a question concerning the workers. You said that they will be covered in this project.
It's written into the actual IMA, it's written in.
All of them? All of them. Okay. And my
We're
other
aware of
question
the-
is, now, let's say we're used to calling the sewer department, our guys are always working 24/7. So my street was done over, a few of them practically lived on it. But I want to know, who do we call now if there's a breakdown? And how soon do they respond to the residents here?
Currently, nothing will change for the foreseeable future into the connection date.
Yeah.
For the next 24 to 36 months, you're still calling Long Beach, you're still going through the same numbers you go through if it was today or yesterday. When it does connect, there was language in the IMA that the county does not fulfill its obligations and are not responsive to coming to you. We have the right to go into court and seek injunctive relief, which we've already been given. So we try to protect you from a litigation standpoint in case the county is not responsive. I'm pretty confident speaking with Legislator Ford that you will not see that, you'll be wrapped into their system. But for the foreseeable future, until the connection date, which is when actually the sewage is going to make it over to Bay Park, you're going right here through your personnel here like you always did.
No, I get that. But my question is, once it is connected, okay, I have relatives in Seaford, I have relatives in Baldwin, I have relatives in Monroe. They don't respond like we're used to our people. And I want to know how long it takes, because I know a couple of instances. How long does it take for them to respond to, let's say, this, a backup in the sewer line from the street to your house?
Yep.
All right, the city's responsible for that, from your house to that connection, we're responsible. So I want to know, how long do you think? Because now you have this long, big encompass of residents, you're getting 36,000.
Yep.
So how, is there any, time that they have to respond to us before you go into court?
I understand. There's two parts, obviously, we're dealing with much in the future that we dealt with in the IMA, so the city, this council still has the whole county speak to the fire. There's two parts. One, as far as the transition, how's the county going to process your bill? How's the county going to respond to your calls? Those types of daily stuff. In this IMA, we have what we call CAM agreements. They're individual agreements with the county of Nassau to actually effectuate the overall intent of this plan. Those subsequent agreements, which will be enacted between the city and the county, will lay out the transfer of the billing, the management of the sewer system, So that's still to be determined in a separate agreement after we get through pre-construction during the construction phase. So there will be another, it's not, this is it and you're done. There is still negotiations going on between the city and the county to actually, how we actually transfer the system. What is the response time going to be? How will they generate the bills? They do an ad valorem to actually do a sewer rent, how all that's going to work out. So that's still being negotiated in subsequent agreement. This is the IMA, and it's one of the things, we still do have the right that if the county is not a good steward of the system you have just given them, we are automatically entitled to injunctive relief pursuant to the IMA. So there's some litigation teeth there, and there's also the fact that we're still negotiating the other agreements, which will speak directly to the implementation of the plan.
And will all workers who know the system, will they be here working at the county, or are they gonna be full-time?
It's my understanding that the city has absorbed those workers and agreed to an MOA with the union. We don't foresee them being moved unless they so wanted to. I know the legislative board had mentioned that some of them are so knowledgeable in the system that it may behoove the county to try and recruit them. And that's something I don't think anyone is against, but at this juncture, the city is very committed to employees. Thank you.
Dan Creighton, Long Beach. Obviously, I'd like to urge the board to approve this. This is an environmentally and engineering benefit to the community. But that being said, I want to ask a few questions because I think some details are a little lacking for me. One is the consent decree that we're under. As legislative Ford said, it's a short timeline. Will this be in place? Is it first of all, what's the status? Is it design and then the building of it will be in place by the 2-year deadline or what we have on the consent decree? Because that could be a significant cost to the city on top of what we're paying to upgrade this facility.
Do you mind if I answer that one just real quick? So, just to be clear, the consent order was entered into back in 2015. It's supposed to be complied with a 12-month period. We have had significant discussions, conversations with DEC over the years, where it has never been an implementation of fining or damage to the city. So the city has not had to commit to paying anything in the hope that we get this IMA, which will just go on from that, not there. The second part of that is, one thing that was different, though in order to comply with the requirements of the consent order would be approximately $50 million just to treat our sewage better, we do not have penalty clause like the county does. The county of Nassau, if they were not to comply, is charged about $37,000 up to $42,000 per day for not complying. The city of Long Beach's consent order, they took out the damages portion, is not a daily fine, but the overall fees that we pay to come in compliance with treatment would be about $50 million. So while we may not have that little over daily penalty of fine that could be charged, it obviously could be a greater fine if we had not a fine, the cost of complying with the order. But as of now, the DEC has chosen to hold the order in abeyance on the hopes that this IMA is entered into. The requirement of the city is that they enter into an IMA. So if the city council were to vote tonight and the acting city manager were to sign it, you've met your requirement. The requirement of the county is they take your affluent. So they have still work to do after tonight because we still want to get the affluent over the Bay Park. I hope that answers it.
Yep, stick around, stick around. So the other thing was there's a 6.3 million that we're kicking in of the 77 million. Will that also cover any increases in costs of change orders, et cetera, all that stuff?
It's a ceiling written into the agreement. You can spend less, you don't spend a penny more than that original commitment they just referenced.
Also, you said that 6.3 million can be used to decommission the existing facility or be used to put in the pumping station. If we don't put it into the pumping station, or if we don't put it to decommission the existing system, what happens with that property and what will that be decommissioned?
Yeah, that's beyond us, it's beyond the purview of the IMA, which I've obviously been retained to assist the city council with entering into. That would obviously be discussions with this city council, how to deal with excess property. It's just to be clear, the city and the county are going to work together to get as many grants and as much funding as they can. There's actually a funding schedule at the back of the IMA that shows the available resources. Again, decommission is not part of this project. but the county did allow us to draft in a clause that allows that the money either go into decommissioning, which you're gonna have to do anyway on your own, or give it to the project. But as far as what will happen with the rest of the property, I mean, that would be subject to further action of the city council, just like with any other city-owned property.
So decommission is not included in the agreement.
Decommissioning is not included in this agreement, but you can use the funding that you committed to that ceiling toward your decommissioning. And obviously, decommissioning or environmentally remediating a site of that size could be costly, so that's cost up for us.
I urge the board also to keep that 6.3 million on the side, so that it's available to cover decommissioning that site. Just one last question, how will the charges that will be charged in this agreement from the county compare to our current operating budget, for operating facilities?
I think that question was already answered.
Yeah, what it'll be is, things won't change until, nothing changes right now. Until the connection is complete, it'll still be Long Beach billing, Long Beach determining the rates, which is based on our operational costs, like debt service, things like that. Once the connection is made, then there'll be, I assume, a negotiation between the city and the county on how that transitions over. The county, from what I understand, may decide they may have us continue to collect
So we
the
don't,
billing and
we don't know
transfer.
yet what we're going to be billed from the county for these services. Because my question is a little different. My question is not what the residents are going to pay, but what does the city pay now compared to what the city will pay once this is done? I'm assuming it should be a benefit.
Patrick, can I just add a point to that then? Question. The way the IMA is drafted, you know, I'm a firm believer in keep the money, don't give the money to someone else. The way the IMA is drafted is the city is still receiving all the sewer rents that's coming to the city. The city pays the debt service like it already does. If there's money left over, obviously that gets distributed over to the county. It's the county doesn't make it. So as it stands now, as it will stand into a subsequent agreement, those CAMs we speak to, the city collects the funds based on the sewer rents that are set. If there's excess funds available, that can be pushed over to the county. But as long as the debt service is covered, is really the part that everyone's concerned about, because obviously it's the city's debt. As far as what the rents are now, I wouldn't have that exact information. Sorry.
Thank you.
Mr. Veronica?
Hello, Eddie Verona. I urge the council to pass this IMA, and it's because the state is requiring us to remove nitrogen from our water. This is not up for debate. It's a requirement by the DEC. And according to legislative board, it's going to cost us, if we don't pass this IMA, $150 million. This city and its taxpayers will not be able to afford this. We are already on our financial brink and cannot take in millions more in debt. The city council has needs to serve its residents and needs to serve the people who elected it and support this IMA. Additionally, as the lawyer, I forget his name, said that this will eliminate debt of the sewer division, which is phenomenal for our city. That reducing debt, this offer, reducing your debt is not going to come by every day. But, this will save residents millions, as our sewer rates will not be needed to go up 10 to 20% per year to cover the debt service, and it will free up city resources, so we do not have to be subsidizing our sewer fund, and we do not have to be subsidizing this debt. I think that it makes so much financial sense for us to pass this resolution, this IMA. And if you look at the environmental benefits of it, there's so many. And you see that reducing nitrogen in the water right now, this nitrogen, heavy nitrogen in the water causes seaweed, it actually causes marsh degradation, and marshes contain a large amount of carbon. And as these marshes continue to degrade, it's releasing carbon into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change and contributing to increased global warming. So these marshes are really essential for our ecosystem in the Reynolds Channel, and it's really necessary that we protect them. And this is one of the main ways that we can protect them. And we always talk about protecting the environment, but this time we can truly protect the environment by passing this IMA. As I mentioned, seaweed, nitrogen causes a large amount of seaweed to be in the Reynolds Channel and come over to us. And marine life will be able to come back because marine life has been hampered because of the large algae blooms that have been caused by this large nitrogen in our water. And all this algae has prevented marine life, fish, large mammals from coming into the Reynolds Channel, and it's really hurt the ecosystem. So if we care about our environment, we care about our financial state of the city, I really implore you to pass this IMA. And I also want to thank the Honorable Legislator Ford and Commissioner Miranda for negotiating this and leading the charge for this IMA, because this is truly, truly a good deal for the city. So once again, I ask the City Council to approve this IMA. Thank you.
Eileen Hessian, Long Beach. Mr. Corbett, do you agree with what Eddie just said?
I'm sorry.
Do you agree with all that Eddie just said?
This gentleman that just spoke?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with almost all, some of the numbers may be wrong, but I agree with the substance of his comments.
Okay, because you had a lot to say, and I had a little difficulty following every single thing. But if Eddie said it, I'm for it.
Some of the information was already covered with the other people that talked about the workers. So I have to go more specific in my questions. How many people are we talking about that the city currently employs? And when we stop collecting sewer fees because Nassau County's gonna have it, and we're going to absorb these people, where is the revenue gonna come from to pay for whatever it is they're gonna do for the city? That's we're doing this 5-year financial plan, this is within the 5-year window. Obviously, there's some numbers that need to be made, or should have already been generated knowing that this is gonna happen. And then secondly, is since they are trained wastewater treatment people, has there been any opportunity for them to transfer to Nassau County to do the same work that they've been trained for? So that, they can continue to do their skill level and their employment, and they still be in the same Nassau County and New York City, employees system, just a different employer. I mean, I've gone through 3 different companies doing the same job, get transferred back and forth, depending on the place that I work for. But, this is not no different than that. Because, if you're not getting revenue, then you're paying money out of something else.
If you're finished your questions, I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to answer your question.
How do you answer it? You've had 3 years of planning.
No,
You've had 3 years of planning.
Sir, I wasn't saying how to answer it. I said if you finish your questions, I am happy to
Okay,
answer
thank
your
you.
question. But you said you had a few questions, so why don't you ask your questions? We'll get you the answers to all of your
Right, 2
questions.
questions, basically. How many people, how are we gonna cover them, if they're just employees of Long Beach? And has there been a chance to have them continue their careers as water treatment personnel in, Nassau County? Still employees of the state system?
So I'm comfortable answering the question. I believe that a number of years ago, I think it's about 2.5 at this point, when this project first came to us and we authorized the then city manager to apply for certain funding for this project, there was an issue raised as to what would happen with the employees that were there in the plant at the time. We entered into an MOA, understanding that for this period of time, while there's uncertainty for these folks, it's unfair for many of them live here, they work here, they dedicated their time to the city, that we would absorb those employees. What they will be doing can be decided once we go through this entire process, assuming that it's approved and the consolidation takes place. It was a conscious decision on the part of the members of the council at the time to encourage and advocate for an MOA to ensure that those employees are protected. To the extent that those employees choose to go and work at the county or use their expertise in another place, that's for them to make. I'm not gonna make the decision for them that they should or should not go there. There are all sorts of reasons why individuals would want to make that decision or not make that decision, but I'm certainly not gonna make it for them. It was a conscious decision made by the members of the council at the time that regardless of the cost, we were going to absorb these individuals so there would not be uncertainty during this project and once the consolidation takes place.
All right, so, let's say everything gets done in 2021. 2025, you have these 2 or 3 or 5 people, whatever it is, doing something that they're not trained for. And
Well,
what do you
civil
do?
service will dictate what they, presumably the civil service job specifications will detail what those individuals are doing. And we as a city will decide at that point what it is, the city managers that are in charge, the commissioner at the time, will make that decision. But it was something that was important to us, or I speak for myself, at the time, that those individuals were protected.
I have no problem with that, but I'm talking about the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, the 30-year financial plan. Without the plan, you can't effectively.
There is
manage.
some uncertainty in making a decision to absorb those employees.
I understand the decision to do it, but is there a plan on how to do it?
There, as far as I know, there is not a specific plan.
And, you know, it's nice to have a plan, but you don't, you can't build, it, you don't have the money, and it doesn't mean.
Outside.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Pinto?
Good evening, San Pinto, Long Beach. Majority of my questions were answered, just a few more. For one, I support this. I think it's a great idea financially, environmentally. Shared services, it's going to be a home run if it works out to us. So I do support it, and I urge council to support it tonight as well. A few questions. Does this affect our storm drain service? No. No? So our storm drain service, and you pause the comment, I have a few questions. You can either ask or
Ask all your questions,
All right.
and then we'll have some.
Does this affect our storm drain service, our workforce, and who services our storm drains? Does this impact our comprehensive plans or our future planning for updating our infrastructure in regards to our sewer lines? Our sewer lines are probably old and outdated, and now do we lose control of updating those? Who's ultimately responsible for creating the plan at this point for updating our sewer lines in regards to seepage or infiltration, stuff like that? I want to make sure that we take to the top and maybe we do maintain control, maybe it's in the IMA. Also, does this affect our sewer lateral program? And lastly, I guess it's not known yet, but our sewer rates are based on, right now, our water bills, 120 or 125% of our water bills. Now it's going to be up to a later time, how that's going to be considered, but I would ask that it does not go up. Maybe that be part of the IMA as well, that our sewer bills do not go up exponentially based on something that hopefully is not expected. So main 3 questions is sewer lines, storm drains, comprehensive plan, infrastructure planning, do we lose our seat at the table? And who's responsible for if something does break in those plans? Thanks.
So, presently, our sewer maintenance crews also do our stormwater maintenance. So a certain number of them will be just strictly doing stormwater maintenance. So we'll actually have improvements in the maintenance we do on the stormwater systems, because obviously the collection system, the wastewater, takes up a lot more time and effort. Grading risk contract will continue to be in place. People will still have access to corner grading risk for their issues. Somebody raised a question before about how long it would take to get the county here. The county maintains all the sewer collection lines in Lido Beach, which flow through our system. So they do have people working here on their sewer lines in the county. So I think that calling them in will not be an issue. In terms of infrastructure replacement, my deputy and I have been looking over the last 20 years, what we have replaced. We've replaced over 10 miles of sewer pipe already in our complete road projects. We were doing water sewer. We spoke to the county about this. We will continue to coordinate with them with their capital program. We'll let them know which streets we'll be doing. We'll replace water mains, roadway, and sidewalk, street lighting. And just like we do with National Grid, we have National Grid come in and replace their gas mains before we do those projects. And we will do the same with the county and have them come in and replace the sewer line on these major road projects. And it's just a matter of coordinating their capital plans with our capital plans. So it may be sometimes moving one street out a year and bring another street up forward if that's in their plans based on the condition of the sewer main. So, you know, we do two major projects a year like that. I think those will continue, and I think we'll have county cooperation on that.
In the IMA. Is it outlined in the IMA?
Keep you on terms of sewer line,
Is it
sewer
outlined
line
in
replacement.
the IMA who calls for replacements of sewer line infrastructure?
No, if we had said earlier, that would be subsequent to the subsequent agreement about when the actual transition happens, about billing, sewer line maintenance and that stuff. But I think John did answer, stormwater will still be done.
Right.
By, and that may answer another question earlier, as far as some of the work needed for the workers who left around, it's obviously stormwater.
Thanks.
Norman?
Good evening, Norman Wilson, Baldwin. I would just like to thank legislation Denise Ford and men and women of the city council for protecting our workers. It means a great deal to the men and women of the CSEA. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? George?
Roy Lester, Long Beach. Just a few questions. First of all, I am in support of the project, of course, it's a no-brainer. We are currently dumping 3.5 million gallons from Long Beach alone. I understand that's what we were told. I wasn't in. 3.5 is coming from Long Beach. That's one question. The other is the line under, I guess it's Sunrise Highway to Cedar Creek. That's possibly going to cost $1 billion, and that's not done yet. Is that correct? It says here that the county ownership, operation, and maintenance of the city's sanitary sewer system and infrastructure, and eventual consolidation of the area of the city into the Nassau County Sewer and Stormwater Resource District. That's part of this agreement. Why would we then have our own stormwater people if we're part of Nassau County's Stormwater Resource District? What was put aside in the capital plan for these improvements that we no longer have to make because we're going to have the county do them? Newsday said today that the city's part, the 66 million, will be paid through, Long Beach would repay the county with the sewer fees collected from its residents. 66 million would be quite a bit to pay back. And I'm just, I know nobody can answer this now, but, I am worried about the effect it will have on our fees, and we have no ceiling, I understand, on those fees right now. Can you tell me if that's correct? Because I am concerned about what the financial impact will be. I still think we have to do it, but nobody seems to have an answer to what the real financial impact will be. I've heard it asked several times, and nobody seems to know. Do we know what Lito's paying for the same thing right now? That's my question.
Okay, I think Mr. Corbett, you would be able to answer some of those questions.
Yeah, if you don't mind, thank you so much. Nowhere in the IMA or sewer fees supposed to equal the amount of the $66 million to pay for the overall consolidation. The sewer fees are there to pay off your debt service, so with your debt until connection. Once connection, it's all the counties, it's the debt service and everything else that goes along with it. So I did read that article in Newsday, but I think they may have misconstrued certain things. The sewer fees are not covering the 66, it's covering the debt service. As far as, I honestly do not know, but Lido Beach is in the system. I would hope that when Long Beach is added into the district, it's added into a larger district, because obviously the larger the district, the more it will flow throughout the system. But I don't believe the rates are that dramatically different than Long Beach, but we have to get that information from the county. I see Legislator Ford raising her hand.
The county pays the city of Long Beach $600,000 a year for Lido sewage.
There you go. Answer your question, Mr. Lester?
That's wonderful.
Oh, I missed another one. Go ahead.
Okay, the line under Sunrise to Cedar Creek.
Yeah, that's the county's obligation to make sure once they get the effluent, that it gets out to Cedar
I
Creek.
know, we're part of the county. If the county's going to approve a bill, even though we're Long Beach, we're eventually going to pay it. Is it, we're hearing that it could be $1 billion.
That, sorry? No, well, just so,
The whole thing,
The whole thing has been stated.
Okay, why don't we?
just so I can answer this, Lester.
Just answer one question at a time.
No, and I think that's what we're doing. The amount to pay for under the viaduct out to Cedar Creek, I know we've all heard numbers and you dress a straw. I don't think anyone's had a conclusive report on what the total is. I know there were commitments from both federal government, the Army Corps of Engineers. I know the county has been discussions with EMC and with the state for the grants to pay for that transfer. I don't know what the numbers. I don't think anyone has conclusive what the exact number is.
but we can't do anything until that's complete.
No. Just so we're clear, once this thing connects, whether that's done or not, you're out of the sewer business. This will become a problem.
How does it get to Cedar Creek without that line?
Again, you have a DEC consent order. You entered to the IMA, your requirements met. Obviously, the county is going to have to pay for it to get to Cedar Creek. If it is charged across every resident of Nassau County, then yeah, you know what, there's gonna be some Long Beach payments in there, but it's not gonna be specifically where Long Beach foots the bill.
I'm going to ask you that practically. How is it going to get from Bay Park to Cedar Creek
They
without
are-
that line?
I don't believe it can get there unless they find an alternative route.
Okay.
And I don't know, questions? They're county questions.
Sorry about this. The governor embarked on this desire to remove the influence from the Reynolds Channel. Because we know the influence is not leaving, like Scott will tell you. And you probably all remember many years ago when we had that wonderful old ground plot, right? It was never ground plot. So we embarked on upgrading the sewage treatment plant after Sandy. We received grants. We spent $890 million in upgrading the Bay Park sewage treatment plant. We are continuing upgrading the nitrogen removal so that the effluents will be better treated, okay? So, and what it was is that originally we always wanted to have an outflow pipe. You know, we thought like if we could just do it out to the Atlantic Ocean from Bay Park. But the cost that was given to us by the federal government, the latest amount was about $850 million at that time. They found a viaduct under an old 100-year-old viaduct that is under Sunrise Highway right now. The engineers went down, they tested it, they looked at to see how fit it was, and they feel that it will be able to carry the influence. But just to let you know, we're gonna put a sleeve in there. It's going to be engineered so that the effluents will be basically, for want of a better word, safe travel. When we go through the $66 million, that is the cost the county is going to incur to change the Bay Park, the sewage treatment plant here to a pumping station, to install the force main that's going to bring it up to Bay Park. You have the sewer rents that the city is collecting, that they will be basically keeping, is to pay down the debt that you have accrued over the years. And I believe, and I'm sure that the controller or somebody can correct me, but I believe it might be a little over $18 million, okay? Just to let you know that we look at the sewer rates, the city of Long Beach collects their rates differently, their sewer rents differently than what the county does. And speaking with the other legislators and everybody in the county, we're not eager to all of a sudden change everything overnight, you know, because as long as the rents are collected, it makes, the way that the city of Long Beach does it, it makes sense the way that you're doing it, okay? And as you're afraid that we're gonna overcharge, a lot of the legislators feel that the city council may decide to lower the rates, so we're not getting what we should be getting, but we do have to cover the cost of the debt until it's paid off. When it's pumped to the Bay Park sewage treatment plant, more than likely, the pipe that will divert it to Cedar Creek may not be completed, and that's why when it gets pumped to Bay Park, the sewage actually will be better treated than it is here in the city of Long Beach. So, and we're looking at, the way that the IMA is written is to try to minimize any financial risk to the city as it is right now. And we feel that, speaking with our council and our people in DPW, that, while there was concern on our part as to the financial condition of the city and whether or not would the city go bankrupt, and would that leave the county, dealing with this infrastructure, we found that, that bankruptcy for municipalities is different than personal bankruptcy. So we covered everything, I just want you to know. So, so that's basically what it is. And the cost actually, like I said, for the pipe, going under the viaduct, the state at this point has, given it a price tag of about $300 million. Because you have to realize, the viaduct is there, they don't have to dig anything. And the DPW is doing the 30% design now so that we can then determine how best, and then once we do our design, our study, we hand it over to New York State. And New York State will be running with the whole project from the Bay Park sewage treatment plant up to Sunrise Highway and then out to Cedar Ridge.
But just to make sure I have it straight, up until the Sunrise Highway plant is done, the sewage is coming back into the bay area, it's better treated.
Right.
Now, right now, the sewage that's coming out of Bay Park is better treated than the
Yes.
sewage coming into, and it's gonna be the same treatment because they've already been updated.
Right.
It's just the 3.5 million that's coming.
Is
Is
that,
that,
yeah.
is that a correct number? The 3.5?
I think the county puts you at 6 million. So they put the city at 6 million, but it could be 3.5, 6, I don't know.
That we're pumping into the bay?
Yeah. So that would be a thing. But you have to realize, we are still upgrading our plant. We are still, I think they're looking at the contract to, buy $45 million for the nitrogen upgrade. And, and when we look
I'm
at
sorry, NASA or Longmont?
NASA, we're not spending any money to the sheet plant. But then, we have a big concern over, the effluents that will be pumped, because it's gonna be more going out of the Cedar Creek, pipe. And, they're actually looking at that, they're gonna do an engineering study to see how much it can sustain, how much can go out. They're constantly looking at ways to upgrade it, to minimize, because the fear is, can it wash back onto the shores of Seaford? So, I have to really, John Miranda is an expert in what he does, and I have to say thank you for your work with this. But even, and all engineers, they just are focused, they're not really blessed with a great sense of humor, because they just look at the numbers, and, the people in our DPW do the same thing. They look at it, they take this quite seriously, they look at this every which way. So I think that in the long run, it would be a benefit. But if you have any questions, I'm sorry to take over, but I just wanted to make sure that the information.
You have the answers. And
Well,
the last question was what happens, the county's taking over all of our.
Could you speak to the microphone, please?
Sure. The last question was the county's taking over all of the infrastructure and the stormwater, we're part of the stormwater resource. Wouldn't they be taking over everything?
Correct me if I'm wrong, it might save you a trip up here. Our stormwater system doesn't tie into the sewage plant. It's separate, so they're not taking that over.
So when it says stormwater resource district, that's not stormwater. It's just the name, correct?
That's the name for it.
That's the name.
Can you just speak in the microphone also, just speak in the microphone because this is being videotaped, we want to make sure that we're having the information.
My apologies, I believe that's the name of the district because it relates to sewer and stormwater, that Nassau County funds the system through.
Okay. So that means basically we won't have to pay any more money for our infrastructure for the sewers? So how does that affect what we put aside in the capital plan?
Well, once the connection is made to the Bay Farm plant, we won't have to maintain the system any longer. So it would free up that to do other projects. Or get less than borrowing, whichever we, whichever more prudent then.
I think it's also important to just overemphasize the fact that there are 3 stages. We're entering into the first stage. And I think based on what was already shared by Legislator Ford, that this has been over 15 years in the making. We had no idea this was going to happen right now, the way that it did, and that's why we had to place it on the agenda because we were responding to legislative action. So at this point, I think once this meeting is over, I believe in terms of the city, we'll move forward in terms of looking at the 3 stages and where we fit and how we connect
This, I appreciate
the
that.
comprehensive plan as well as the master plan.
From the residents, this was kind of strong.
Oh, it was from us as well.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Girardi?
Good evening, council members. Mike Delory, Long Beach. I just have a couple of questions. The consent decree, do we remember what year that was signed? 2015? Okay, thank you, Mr. Randall. The memorandum of understanding was signed as well in 2015. Councilman Bender, you were on the council at
The
that point.
memorandum of 2017, that's 2017.
The memorandum was 2017. I wrote down 2015. Did you review the memorandum of understanding?
Well, why don't you ask all your questions,
Okay.
and then the members of the council can answer them.
Did the actual employees who are currently at the sewer plant or under that category, were they listed in the memorandum of understanding? Are they continue to be listed in this current IMA or whatever you have? Are there the same employees that were covering this going forward until 2020, 2022, or when they retire? Do you understand my question?
I understand, I think that if you're saying you want to have clarification in terms of how the names changed in terms of those individuals that were covered under the understanding in 2017, is that correct? Because I'm going to say right now on the microphone that I have not memorized those names.
But are the
But I will
names-
say to you that the names that were in, it was my understanding that those individuals would be covered by this understanding. However, there are 3 people who are not named, and that is the question. There were several people who came up for concern with respect to the 3 individuals that are not named in this 2017 understanding.
Okay, how can we make sure that those people are listed? So going forward, November, January, 3 years from now, whether they're protected and covered down the road. That's, I think, what most of the concern is here is,
So I'll say it again, if you read this language in the IMA that speaks to the fact that as a city, we have the right to integrate those individuals into the present agreement. And that's
understood.
all I'm gonna speak today, because we can't say too much about that.
No, I understand that, but are those people, their specific names, not just employees, are they specifically listed?
Yes,
Thank you very much. That's all I have to ask. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'm gonna ask that we call this item. We can call the item number.
Okay, so item 3 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the county of Nassau for the consolidation of sewer treatment resources and services. Would you move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Go ahead, Councilmember Glendale.
Yeah, this one's sort of a no-brainer. I mean, we have a cap on what we can spend. We're getting a lot more than what we're actually spending, and we're going to do some major environmental cleanup. So with that, I vote yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
I agree, this is a long time coming. I just want to thank Keith Corbett, John Miranda, and everyone else who worked tirelessly to bring this to fruition. I vote yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Okay, so once again, I really strongly believe that this is an environmental victory, not only for the city of Long Beach, but for Nassau County. Also, I think this is once again another way for us to minimize the financial risk that we continue to deal with. This could be, we have a great opportunity to minimize the burden that our residents have had to bear for such a very long period of time. I once again would like to thank Commissioner Miranda, So Deputy Commissioner Fabrizio, as well as the acting city manager at the CC for working on this project, along with our council, Corbett, and also obviously the workers, because there were a lot of concerns, but we've all come together as a city to move forward. With that, I say thank you, and I say I vote yes.
Vice President Diane.
I'm gonna echo your, thanks to all of the individuals who were part of this project. I know it's been a long time coming. This was something that we talked about a number of years ago when I first got on the council. I was happy to hear that all of the employees would be protected as well, which is a priority of mine. Again, thank you everyone who worked on this, acting city manager, Agatisi, as well as Mr. Corbett, John Miranda, your deputy. And with that, I vote yes, this is an important project for the city.
Okay, moving back to the top of the agenda, our first item was a public hearing for ordinance to amend code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach regarding water and water distribution.
This is simply to change the type of, the correct type of graphic letter. We do not bill monthly, we bill quarterly.
Are there any questions from the council? Any questions from the public? We can close the hearing.
Our second public hearing is for a bond ordinance authorizing financing for the cost of fiscal year 2019-2020 separation payments to or for the benefit of employees of the city upon separation from employment stating the estimated total cost thereof is $2,147,061, appropriating said amount therefore and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $2,147,061 bonds of said city to finance said appropriation.
This is our annual separation pay authorization. As we did last year, we are authorizing in advance of making payments in accordance with bond council directive. It's a few days late this year, unfortunately, due to the fact that the quality control checks are still taking place on June 14th. We did our best to get the spreadsheet put it as quickly as possible after that and put it on the first meeting in July. But the most important thing in terms of this item in particular is to ensure accuracy, and that's the reason for the short delay. One point I did want to emphasize is that of 31 employees that are listed on the spreadsheet this year that accompanies the item, 27 of them have been voted on them before previously by the city council and have been approved. They're just in some later stage of their installment unit. With respect to the remaining 4, one was approved by city council behind the scenes. The other 3, 2 are projections at this point. They haven't actually retired, so we can't finalize those numbers. And one just did retire, and we're about ready to anticipate his expense as well. Let's see what else I want to mention. We actually, you know what, at this point, I might as well just bring up our new city controller who will be tasked with reviewing all of the tasks to ensure accuracy. And in Resnick, you can come on right up to the microphone and describe your involvement in this process. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. I will briefly go over what was done in that review.
Can you speak louder or get close to the microphone, please?
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. So, there are 31 individual separation payments included in the total amount for the bonding authorization. Separation payments were recalculated and in all cases agreed to the original claims report with material differences. It was confirmed that all balances were within the parameters of the existing union agreements, arbitration agreements, and for in some cases, past practices. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any members of the council have questions? Bill? No, I'm going to, I just said she could, you don't want to stand all the time. Does anybody in the audience have questions? Mr. Dean?
I'm not going to oppose the bonding issue. I don't particularly approve, but I understand that you have to do it. However, moving forward, being that we're talking about financial planning. Every employee that we hire today, there's a potential then for 20, 30, 40 years in the city. We should be able, under current contracts, project their pay and their separation allowance 30 or 40 years from now. That should be on our financial plan, so that in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we're not borrowing and watching now to pay the bill. We should have that, declaring that money today, to pay in the future.
Absolutely. Is there any other questions? Mr. Verona?
So I'm going to quote the New York State Comptroller in our annual budget review. They say, quote, "The city's continued practice of borrowing to fund these costs, our separation pay, are not fiscally prudent. In addition, the continued reliance on proceeds of long-term debt to finance recurring operating expenses will further diminish the city's ability to finance needed services in future budgets." Essentially, this repeated borrowing for separation pay will saddle future generations in debt and cause them, instead of investing in services and in infrastructure and things that the community needs, it will be forced to pay off these bonds. It will be forced to pay off the bad decisions of administration after administration. This city is addicted to borrowing, and we should reduce our borrowing. I brought this up during budget hearings. Councilman Bendo has brought this up during budget hearings, including on that Friday afternoon meeting we had to adopt the budget. We need to reduce our debt. We need to reduce our borrowing. And the way we can do that is by funding some of these separation payments, not just borrowing for our separation payments. And to do that, we need to reduce our patronage positions. We need to reduce our waste in our city. And we need to stop talking about, that we just have to borrow. To quote certain council members, we just need to continue borrowing. That this is just an inevitable thing that we have to continue to kick the can down the line, to continue to saddle future generations with debt. I think that's wrong. I think immediately, before this bond is voted on, we need to fund at least $300,000 of our own money into separation pay by cutting the director of public relations, the executive assistant to the city manager, and the director of fleet operations, which are all well-documented patronage positions. Additionally, as I proposed at the last meeting, long-term changes are needed to make to our union contract. Right now, firefighters can cash up to 400 hours of vacation time, 480 hours of comp time. There is no cap on personal days, and they receive 40 hours per year in terminal pay. But it's not just firefighters. Police, fire, CSEA all have excessive payouts clauses in their contract. Long-term change is needed. We cannot just continue to say, at the next time we'll fix it. I have brought this up. Members of the community have brought this up. We need to fix our union contracts. We need to fix the things that continue to saddle us in debt. And as Councilmember Bendo said during this whole separation pay crisis, he said, we need to sit down with our unions within the next week. That was last year in April. We have not done that. We need to sit down with our unions, CSEA, fire, police, this week, and fix the separation pay that will saddle my generation and the generation after that and cause the city into bankruptcy. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Mooney?
Good evening, John Mooney, AG Mayhawk, CSA President. I'd just like to say a few things, what's been going on with the payouts. CSA is asking for your support on this bond. Our union has been lumped together with non-union employees and other unions. I would like just to clarify for the record straight. CSA has 21 employees who offered an incentive to retire. This incentive accounts for 30% of this actual bond, an average of $23,000. So I heard excessive payouts. That doesn't sound excessive for somebody who worked 35 years to get $23,000 they earned. This incentive was agreed to be paid over 3 years to help the city budget for. Since the incentive, we are down 15% of our membership. We had a membership of 244, and we currently have 220. Of the 220, we pay over 20% of them are now paying towards their benefit, which is part of why we did this incentive to begin with. The savings of less employees, we have 20 less employees that are on the books today. These are things that we've done as my union. I don't speak for anybody else. I speak for the CSEA. We've always worked in good faith with the city and our savings. I expect this council to honor the agreement that we signed 3 years ago for these employees. I got 20 phone calls from employees that work 550 years of service for the city of Long Beach. We're not the brunt of the bond, and all we're asking for is they get what they're entitled to be paid, because we provided the savings in good faith to the city during this time, with the medical contributions, with working more, with less. So I'm asking for your support to make sure they get paid. Thank you.
Karen McGinnis, Long Beach. In order for the city council members to make an informed decision on this bond issue, they should have cash flow projections for the entire 2019-20 budget. Do they have the cash flow projections in order to make sure that next year, yet again in the spring, there's another call for more borrowing, and that the council is not blindsided? So my question again is, does the city council members have the 2019-20 cash flow projections? And if not, why? And if not, when will they get that information? And it should be on a monthly basis with all the other financial reports that they apparently are not getting.
Is that those are your questions?
Those are my
I
questions.
believe that all of the council members received all of the information that they asked for. To the extent that they wanted more information, they were asked a number of times what information they needed. And it's my understanding that everybody has the information that they have asked for and want.
You know, see, the thing that's really interesting, that is interesting, because my 3 minutes are enough. The thing is that, why does it have to be that the council member has to know what to ask for? The city manager should be providing all the information so that city council members who did not take a class to learn how to be a city council member know what to look for. How do you not know what to ask for? If you haven't even read like New York State manuals that have been going on, you've been sitting up here for years and pretending you know what to ask for, and you don't. So my question was, did the city council members receive cash flow projections?
Can we get another answer besides Julie? John, can you answer that?
We did not. I also asked for information at the last council meeting, which I said was prerequisite, and I did not get that. So.
This is a game. It's not a game.
You know, we were asked for analysis from CMA, and CMA did provide that analysis. If any council person
There's
wants
a
to provide
government
that,
financial accounting standards
You
board.
can't debate back and forth, just wait your turn. I understand you have more time. Let you ask a question and let somebody answer the question.
if somebody wanted a more detailed analysis or a different type of analysis, then it's incumbent upon that council person to ask for it because they didn't receive it. They expected a cash flow analysis. Now, that's a very good point, Mr. Jones. I will say that. No council members asked for that information, but I would also argue that if the council, it's incumbent upon a council member to find that information out for themselves if they want it. It's impossible for any city manager with the volume of information passed through that office to accurately sit there and predict what every council member wants at any given moment in time. What I do, and we've discussed this before in email correspondence, is I kindly respond to questions as I get them. And I manage the flow of information for the council to the best of my ability. Not knowing necessarily what they want at any given moment in time. Now, as far as the cash flow analysis is concerned, I think that's a fair point. I know CNA is working on that as we speak. In the meantime, I don't think there's any mystery surrounding this, right? I mean, we either need to.
There is.
No, there's no mystery surrounding what we need to do. We need to start budgeting for this, and there are two ways to do that, right? You need to either increase your taxes or lower your expenses. So
A qualified city manager would know that council members need cash flow projections. You do it.
No, I did not. Okay, your time's up. Pinto?
And while Mr. Pinto is coming, I just want to add, I mean, historically, the council members have not received financial information. But once again, we're here, and this is where we are. We have a new comptroller, and we look forward to working with her. We believe that transparency will be something that will take place as we move forward as a team. But to go on the record to say that we received information that was needed in the past to make those decisions, I cannot say that. We did not receive that.
Good evening, Sam Pinto, Long Beach Professional Firefighters. I have two individuals who have greatly served the city, many dedicated years of helping others. One has retired and one is projected to retire at the end of the month. I have to say that I have to express my frustration along with the council members because one of my members who did retire has been getting a cascade of different excuses why he is not able to receive his payout on separation. In compliance with our collective bargaining agreement, it should start immediately, and it hasn't. And there's been a handful of excuses by the city manager, and it's been very, very frustrating to say the least. And one of the things that's been even more frustrating is that the union has not been provided, even though requested multiple times, the voucher, the claim voucher for time, so we can make sure that it's in compliance with our collective bargaining agreement, because we also want to make sure that our members are getting paid properly and legally, and it's been very frustrating. So I do ask that you guys do support this bond tonight, as long as it's done legally and in compliance with the collective bargaining agreements. And I have one question for the new comptroller. When you were doing your review of the payout structures, what took priority, past practice or collective bargaining agreements? Pause my time. I have one more question.
Why don't you just ask your question and she can answer all the questions?
Second question, let's say the schedule that's listed on this schedule here is modified because of, for whatever reason, the schedule for the upcoming year is wrong. We have to go to a new bond. And also, what happens if someone retires mid-year? Are we gonna have to wait for this person to get their due time mid-year, or until next year when we just do the next bond for payout? Because it's been very frustrating for my one member who's been delayed, and the most recent excuse was waiting for the bond. And the person has to retire for whatever reason. We don't want to have them have to wait again because they are dependent on that money to pay their bills. Thank you.
So for your first question, I'm gonna answer it depends on bargaining. You want to
Just speak into the microphone.
This better? Yeah, it depends on bargaining unit, what prevails. Some have existing contracts, some operating under the arbitration agreements, but some past practices prevail. So, it really depends on the bargaining unit.
There's a difference in what the person's getting based on past practice and what's contractually agreed on between arbitration or contract. What do you go by, the past practice or what's contractually agreed upon?
In that instance, I had to get advice from the city council, and again, it depends which one.
Corporation council, I'm assuming, correct?
So, to get to the second part of your question, the schedule is right, the schedule was reviewed. It's not right.
Nobody can hear you. Can you speak into the microphone?
Based on information that was received from the city's payroll system that the city maintains, and that system is obviously new to the city. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but based on the review of the payroll system that's utilized by the city, that, by the way, that payroll system is utilized to post payrolls every 2 weeks, and the city is relying on that. And also, that same system is subject to independent review by the CPA firm. And as far as I'm aware, there were no findings or material weaknesses found in the payroll system. So while I did not audit or review the balances themselves that is outside the scope of this review. I relied on that. And, I used, assumptions, that are generated in this, either in the union contract, arbitration agreements, or past practices. And if you are aware of certain instances where it's incorrect, I've, asked you to bring it to my attention and we can go over it together.
Thank you.
I do ask that if you guys do approve this based on that information, but I also ask that you provide the union with the information so we can police it ourselves. Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
So before you step down, just a quick question. So 2 weeks ago, I had asked for an analysis that was to be passed on to you that would compare the cost based on going in accordance with collective bargaining agreements and or the code of ordinances, whichever was the appropriate document, and then getting the variance with what we pay based on past practices. Was that done?
I'm not aware of that request ever being made.
I can pull the email up now and read it.
Okay, if that's the case, then I.
You acknowledged the email and said it was, you understood why I was asking for that. Because we had an email discussion about using that when we go and potentially work with the collective bargaining units to see about how to address this issue going forward.
And maybe I'm just saying, I genuinely don't remember the exchange. I remember seeing the request regarding CMA that I did, and that's why I remember to get that to. That being said, look, Mr. Resnick's been here for a week, right? Our options are obviously limited in terms of the scope of her review. I think that's understood by the entire council at this point. In terms of the past practice and in terms of what's listed in the contract, in terms of the actual numbers there, that's the type of thing that at this stage of the game, it's fine. And if you want to sit there and with the union to negotiate that, that's moving forward, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't affect the obligations today. It doesn't affect this item as it pertains to what's necessary.
It does affect this item. Because right now, this city is under investigation by the district attorney and the state comptroller for potentially improper and illegal payout practices. And we continue to perform and double down on the same practices. And what we have not done at all is had a discussion about this issue, how it should be addressed, working with the collective bargaining units. And I brought this up at the last bond vote, that we had to do that before the next. I made it very clear. And here we are again in the exact same situation.
Well, I mean, that's fine, Mr. Bernard, I understand the point. However, excuse me. With that being said, the city has incurred an obligation. I believe you've heard several union members discuss that today. Obviously, the role of past practice, particularly as it relates to police vacation, which came up extensively during the supplemental bond authorization in April, something that can and should be discussed. And that's why outside counsel in the interest arbitration has spoken to you. He's trying to address that now. That is a process. You could also roll the dice and simply curtail that practice and wait to see how it all shakes out in litigation. I don't necessarily recommend that approach. But as far as these union employees, there are certain obligations that must be met, and they will ultimately, whether or not you're getting all the data you want, they're not going to wait. They're going to bring claims.
Nobody is disputing that people are owed money. Nobody's disputing that. And quite frankly, there's some people who their payouts are perfectly fine, and they should get paid. But what we need to do is figure out how to get the people paid while addressing this problem, and we're not doing that. Another thing, I sent you, again, an email that said we were violating federal law by paying over 480 compounds.
And I answered that question.
Right. It was your interpretation that past practice trumped federal law.
That's not right. No, that is not what Mr. Bendo, that is not what I said at all.
That was not the analysis. My analysis was FLSA based. Stop. I mean, that's just not fair.
I just asked you guys,
So,
don't feel sorry for voting for this based on legality. Do you hold this legal? Vote for it if these guys are doing this agreement.
Yeah, I hear you, Sam.
Sorry, I said, if they find that it's legal, please do
speak in
it.
the microphone, please.
You're on the other mic.
The unions are willing to sit and talk with you guys and explain the best we can. We just also need that information. And I urge council, being told that it's legal and compliant with agreements, and you guys should vote for it in favor tonight. But we do want to work together, and we're looking forward to it because this is frustrating for all of us. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Mary Rose Evans, still in Long Beach, I think. I have a question. I brought this up at the last one. Why do we allow so much time to be carried over where we have these astronomical payouts of $500,000 on some of them? It's totally insane. My husband worked for the county 43 years. 43 years. He did not walk away with $500,000. He either used that time or he lost it. He was allowed to carry 30 days, period. For someone to carry that much time is disgusting. And how long do you think people who work all their lives are gonna put up with you paying people this kind of money? I told you, go to the table and talk. The unions talk. I know the firemen talk. I know the CSEA talks. I don't know what the contracts are with the police. I personally think some of those wages and those payouts are totally insane. This isn't New York City. For God's sake, covering how many miles? This is insane. And I quite honestly, and I'm not gonna say I don't like the people. Yes, they were. Maybe because it was done in the past, it was okay. Maybe we were in better financial. I don't know. But I can tell you something right now. People, you're gonna see houses go up. We're gonna be back in the 70s. If you don't get your act together and start negotiating this where people can afford to pay the taxes that we're paying. And I have seen a great deal in decline in some of the services and people going on Facebook and complaining because it's all weeds or this or that. You know what? Make a simple call. I called up and I said, there's some weeds growing. All right? These guys work their butts off. They work their butts off. And stop taking your 15 minutes on the goddamn social media. I really get annoyed at it. But you guys have got to sit down, all of you, and get this straightened out because it's totally disgusting.
I'm in Hutchins in Long Beach. My first question was going to be asking Mrs. Resnick how long she's been on the job, but Mr. Agostisi, I think you said less than a week. 1 week. So I'm wondering how she could possibly look at these messed up books that, haven't really been looked at in a long time in order to make decisions in the millions of dollars. And when you talk about past practice, it makes me very nervous because we've been borrowing on things that we're still paying that were done in the past. For example, Jack Schneerman got much too much money in his separation agreement. Mr. Agostisi and other people never separated or separated for a very brief time and came back again, and yet they got lots of money. Vacation and sick days have been mentioned already. They're not counted correctly. It looks like some people have worked here for 30 years and never took a day off that whole time. Mr. Agostisi, you're always saying, yes, things like this should be discussed. When are they going to be discussed? I mean, you guys never even met before the budget. Did you know that? They never met once before the budget night. You have really got your work cut out for you, my dear.
The city manager should know what information his team needs to have. He should not wait for them to ask, because they are in a job that they were not trained for. Every city council person was not trained for it. So someone who knows how to manage a city should know how to manage the team and give them the information that they need, as well as answer their emails. You are a very bad manager, Mr.
Thank you, Ms. Ashton, I appreciate it.
Good evening, Jay Gus, Long Beach. I wasn't going to get to speak about this item, but just listening to the previous speakers, I'm kind of obligated to chime in. This is like movie Groundhog Day. Every time we go to bond, it's the same conversations, it's the same promise, the same identification of the problem. But then what happens inevitably is that bond passes, everybody exhales, and they forget about it until the next bond issue comes around, and then the whole cycle just repeats itself. I hate to see the employees who are counting on this money be put into a bind, but unfortunately, it seems the only way that our management team is ever going to sit down and really take this issue on is going to be if there's the pressure of litigation or whatever other political pressure the recipients of these monies are going to put on the city and for our management team. I hate to, again, put these workers who work for and deserve this money in a bind, although I want to qualify that by saying that we know that many of these amounts are in excess of what these workers are entitled to under their collective bargaining agreements and or the city's code of ordinances. The only way that I can see this ever being resolved is going to be under the threat of some kind of duress of litigation. I suggest that you do not vote for this bond. We know for a fact that many of these amounts are in excess of the amount that these workers are entitled to under their collective bargaining agreements. I hate to put them in a vice, but it's the only way I see you're going to get management to tackle the issue. I urge you to vote against it.
Is there any other questions?
Mike Delory, Long Beach. I just want to read something into the record, and I really don't have a lot of comment after that. Council members questioned whether the payouts were proper after it was revealed that a number of employees, including former city manager Jack Sherman, and other non-union staffers who remained on the payroll might have been overpaid. State Controller Tom DiNapoli's office is auditing the city's payout practices, and Nassau County District Attorney Madeline Singas is investigating the payments. The state board noted, this is the Financial Restructuring Board, the city's reliance on borrowing and the use of its fund balance to cover large separation costs. I'm sure you're aware of that. The report stated the city has struggled to fund such payouts. We all know that since 2012. The payouts are made possible by significant vacation, sick, and other time accruals permitted in collective bargaining agreements. You had mentioned that you did review all of the agreements. You're satisfied with what's here?
What's in the schedule,
Yes.
as I said, but for some bargaining units, it's, started by the agreement.
Because she has
Can you-
Mr. Delory, why don't you just ask your question? She'll answer.
Why don't you just use the microphone and answer the question?
She'll answer the question after we ask all the questions, so that she can answer them all at the same time.
The board has yet to encounter separation pay policies elsewhere in the state that allows payments of this magnitude. This is not elsewhere in the county, this is elsewhere in the state. So, this is the Financial Restructuring Board. Are you comfortable as a CPA, MBA, that you reviewed the numbers here and that you would sign that and say you verified everything?
Okay, so, I hope I'm close enough to the mic, and I will try to answer your question to the best degree based on the limited time that I had to review the systems and the contract. I'm comfortable to say that the calculations that are used in this schedule that's attached to the agenda today are accurate based on the information in the system and how it was explained to me what was used in terms of the assumption, either union agreements, arbitration agreements, or past practices. I cannot opine, or I guess I'm not asked to opine here on the level of these separation agreements. I cannot also opine on your union contract at this point. Obviously, the issue is systemic here and needs to be addressed comprehensively. And I think that in my opinion, now would be a good time to start the new cycle for the cash flow projections were mentioned. That's actually one of the first questions that I asked, and that's something that I'm planning to work on. So I believe that on a going forward basis, that's a huge project that's very important to the city. The levels of the payouts at this point were calculated by me, and I didn't find any material statements there.
But you also said you relied on information in the system.
Yes.
And that's data entry by individuals that you assume that it's accurate.
So I did not just blindly assume that it's accurate. That is the system that's being audited every single year. That's when the auditors are providing their opinion. One of their opinions is the system of the controls. So I relied on their opinion on them, not blindly, again, any material misstatements there. The scope of evaluating the accuracy of this information that is provided basically by using manual timesheets is a very huge project. It's not. The system. I didn't say unreliable. I can say unreliable because I relied on it in my analysis. And,
I just,
yeah.
I have a concern, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, just a follow-up question. Right, I recognize you've only been here a week, but you've been a comptroller elsewhere, clearly, so you are experienced. Can you comment on, I don't know, appropriateness is the word, but as our comptroller, knowing what's in a collective bargaining agreement, what a code of ordinances, and knowing past practices, would you sign off on some of these payments that are not, that are far in excess of a collective bargaining agreement based on a past practice? Would you sign off on that?
So, Mr. Bendo, there's actually various legal issues intertwined in that. And prior to the council taking any action after the audience was finished giving their input, I was going to ask the council if they were advised as to the various legal issues here. And to the extent the council wasn't, I was going to recommend that somebody make a motion to go into executive session so I can advise the council about various legal issues, specifically legal claims that may come forward depending on the council's actions tonight.
I move to make sure that all of us will at this time engage in a executive session.
going to go into, executive session.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Donovan. Okay, we're in executive session.
Thank you.
motion. Is there any other questions? Because otherwise I can close it. Sure.
Okay, on to the rest of the regular calendar. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for water sewer testing at the water treatment plant and sole responsible bidder.
No, there was no motion to table it.
We have to wait until the voting portion, we're going to come back to it.
Okay.
Number 4. We already called item 3 at the beginning of the meeting, we're on item number 4. The resolution authorizing the city manager to enter an agreement for water sewer testing at the water treatment plant and sole responsible bidder.
Okay. Commissioner, do you want to do a little information on
And this contract is for required annual testing, weekly testing, monthly testing in our water plant and our wastewater plant and out in the distribution system. This testing is required to be done by a state certified lab. Not all labs in New York State are certified in all the different testings that we have to do. The bid notice was sent out to 11 local labs, and BidNet also received a copy of the bid notice, and they sent out to 100 of the, they sent us a report that 100 other labs throughout the state and country received the bid. Obviously, there's a location issue, so we did receive one bid, it's from Pace Laboratories, which has always done our testing, and we recommend that we proceed with it.
Is there any questions from the council?
Just what, is this in the ballpark of what we were paying already?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Any questions from the public? Mr. Lester?
Before that's the Long Beach, you know what I'm gonna say. One bid, again. I know it went out to 100 different labs and 11 across here. Something's wrong with our bidding process that we get one bid on a $63,000 job. You know, listen, I don't need, I'm just saying, okay, the results are one bid. I'm sure there are a million reasons, but the results are one bid, and it's a disservice to the public that we can't change, that we can't get more than one bid.
Are there any other questions?
You know, I just want to repeat, we sent it to 11 local labs. Bid notice sent it out to over 100 other labs throughout the state and the country. There are only certain labs that are state certified by the New York State Health Department to do some of this testing. Some labs may be certified in certain tests we do, but not other tests. Pace Laboratories is certified. And one time, Pace Laboratories was 3 separate labs that all combined. Unless you're big enough like Suffolk County Water, where they do their own testing, this is the results. I mean, there's probably 42 suppliers in Nassau County, and all 42 suppliers use Pace. We don't have an issue with the way we put bids out. We put them out and we get, you know, we put them out as many people we can, but unfortunately, we can't twist people's arms to bid.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order for the supply, transport, and delivery of concrete to the lowest responsible bidder.
Commissioner?
This is for supplying cement to, for projects that we do in-house. We do, you know, repair to a water service, repair to a sewer service, rip up a sidewalk, or replace an access ramp, or any of the things around our own buildings. This is just to purchase concrete. We do all the form work in-house with our CSEA members. This bid notice was sent out to 10 vendors on Long Island, and BidNet reported to us that 100 plus companies received the bid notice. We only had two bidders. Some of this is related to location of where the concrete is being delivered from. You can only deliver it from so far. This vendor is located in Garden City Park, and there is a 1 year, it's a 1 year contract.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Any questions from the public? Next item.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the rental of 20-yard roll-up containers and disposal of contents to the lowest responsible bidder.
All right. Thank you. Actually, you know, why don't we, if you want to talk about 6 and 7, do you want to call?
Yeah, and 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the rental of 20-yard roll-up containers for the disposal of tie-line debris to the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay, we put out two separate bids for roll-offs, one for the tide line debris that we pick up off the beach each day. And the reason we do that separately, there's a lot of issues with the tide line in terms of how wet it is, other materials that end up in it, dead fish, things of that nature. So it's very difficult to put that in as a bid where we do all our other roll-off containers, where we put in construction debris, some of our old waste that we pick up from the residents. We did send that out to 16 vendors on Long Island, and BidNet reported that we have over 100 plus vendors received the bid notice. We did receive 4 bids, and we did not recommend the contractor for the tide line debris that we had last year. We didn't feel he did a good job, and he was not the low bidder with everything taken into account. So we recommended Atlas for that. And on the roll-off containers, we recommended Jamaica Rash for the tide line debris. And on the others, we recommended Jamaica Rash, right?
Questions? Council? Any questions from the public? Mr. Verona?
Hello, Eddie Vernon. I just wanted to ask Commissioner about the specific standards and DEC regulations for seaweed debris and throwing out seaweed. I don't think from where we're not allowed to just throw out seaweed. So one, is this a contract for us to remove seaweed and follow, is it compliant with DEC regulations? And 2, is this a contract for us to, are we going to be removing the seaweed, or is this firm going to remove the seaweed?
Our crews remove the seaweed from the beach, and then we bring it to the transfer station, load it into roll-off containers, 20-yard roll-off containers, and Jamaica Rash will then pick up those roll-off containers and dispose of it. When we do our annual report for solid waste, we account for every ton of seaweed that went into the transfer station, and we account for every ton of where Jamaica Rash, in this case, was delivered. Same thing last year with Atlas. We're in compliance with all the DEC regulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Murray.
Are there any other questions? Next item.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing annual allocation of community development funds for the 44th program year.
Are there any questions from the council? From the public?
Ryan, is that your signature as the director of?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you just come up and explain, some of them are obvious, but like, some of them are not, like acquisitions, what that is, what are the salaries covering?
Ryan McShane, Community Development Director. So each year the city receives the Community Development Block Grant. This actual application was actually approved by the council in March 2018. So essentially this is just a housekeeping item that allows the city to receive the revenue and then allocate it and release it accordingly. The $55,000 for administration and social security withholdings is used for general management and oversight of the grant. $30,000 each for food pantry upgrades at the People's. Yes, Is there something specific, just the acquisitions?
Well, the acquisitions, that's a big one, obviously, the 100,000, what is acquisition?
Yeah, 100,000 can be used to purchase, rehabilitate, demolish, or clean up blighted property. We do have a zombie grant.
Oh, so it's the zombie program?
Well, it's one of the ways to identify a potential property and then maybe to partner with a nonprofit such as Blue Mountain Housing Partnership to make something like that happen.
Okay, and the street improvements and the ADA ramps, is that for a certain part of the city or?
Yeah, so all the CDBG funding is only allowable in eligible areas. There is a map which I have, which I can show you.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you.
Problem.
Are there any other questions?
Item 9 is a resolution reappointing a marriage officer for the city of Long Beach. Okay, so one of the many hats that I wear, I'm also a marriage officer, and under state law, I have to be appointed to a term by the city council, and then terms every 4 years. My term is up at the end of the month, and I'm just looking for your I usually, I perform marriages, I usually perform about, 10 to 15 marriages a month. It's a nice service that we provide here at City Hall. So I did marriage right before the meeting.
Are there any questions from council? Any questions from the public? Next item.
And item 10 is a resolution authorizing publication of notice of hearing on an application waiver of parking requirements from 14 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York. Hearing will be held on that at the next city council meeting. Item 1 is an ordinance to amend the code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach regarding water and water distribution. Introduce and move the adoption of this item. Second. Voting, Councilman Kendall.
Yes.
Councilman Mandel.
Yes.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilman Diamond.
Yes.
Item 2 is bond ordinance authorizing financing for the cost of fiscal year 2019-20 separation payments to or for the benefit of employees of the city upon separation from employment, stating the estimated total cost thereof is $2,147,061, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $2,147,061 bonds of said city to finance said appropriation. Let's move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
Wait, I think there's a chair, Councilwoman Moore wants to make a statement on behalf of.
Vice President Diamond, I'd like to make a statement on behalf of the council. This statement was actually created during our executive session, and it reads, "The council recognizes questions surrounding payouts made in the past. In a collective effort to move forward and in the spirit of transparency, the council, working with our new comptroller and legal counsel, will review payout practices to address the ongoing and systemic issue." Thank you.
Councilmember Bendo.
Okay, just 30 seconds, let me put in plain English what that means. The city is only allowed to borrow what it needs to make payments. So just because you're authorizing 2.1 million doesn't mean we're gonna borrow 2.1 million. You can only borrow what you need. So what we came to agreement on inside is that we will authorize the bond so we can start to make the payments, because there's people that legitimately owe payments. And then we will work with legal counsel to address the question of the practice of exceeding collective bargaining agreements and code of ordinances. So because we can only borrow what we need, at least this allows us to make the legitimate payments going in the beginning, and still gives us a way to not, if we find that some things need to be adjusted, we can make those adjustments still. So with that, then, under those conditions, I vote yes.
To reiterate, the goal here is not to punish those employees that have calculated payouts that aren't correct. It's to begin the conversation with steps moving forward to correct any inconsistencies or to get another set of eyes reviewing things. So this allows us to start the process, pay those employees when there are no questions as to what they're supposed to receive, but still reserve the right to look at additional installment payments as they go forward. So based on that, based on the statement that is combined statement from the entire council, I vote yes.
Okay, once again, we were here last year and the issue was questionable payouts. We are not in any way saying that what took place last year, that it did not happen. All of us, unfortunately, as taxpayers, we are really dealing with that issue as a result of some of the questions that were raised. However, based on our conversation today, it's important for us to move forward with the payments. But we want to remind all of you that this does not mean that our desire to make this right and do right with respect to our duties, that it's going to go unnoticed, that we will move forward with the review and we will share our findings with all of you who are residents. And with that, I vote yes.
The individuals on the list worked hard for the city and served all of the residents that are here in this room for a collective number of years, as President Cooney pointed out. And to delay this in any way would mean that those individuals are not paid the money that they worked for and are entitled to, and would expose the city to tremendous liability. With that said, I vote yes.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with water sewer testing at the water treatment plant with the sole responsibility. Just move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order for the supply, transport, and delivery of concrete for the lowest responsible bidder. Just move the adoption of this item. Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the rental of 20-yard roll of containers and disposal of contents to the lowest responsible bidder. Would you support the adoption of this item? Second. Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter a contract for the rental of 20-yard roll of containers for the disposal of Thailand debris to the lowest responsible bidder. Would you support the adoption of this item? Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing annual allocation of community development funds for the Women's Worth Program year. Would you support the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second. Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
Item 9 is a resolution reappointing a marriage officer for the city of Long Beach. Would you support the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second. Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
I just want to know if you wear a tuxedo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
I'm agreeing to this with the hope that you will conduct my wedding within the next 4 years. Instead of find a person first. With that, I vote yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
And lastly, item 10 is a resolution authorizing publication of notice of public hearing of an application to waive all street parking requirements for premise 14 East Park Avenue, second floor. Would you support the adoption of this item? Second. Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
Make a motion to close the meeting.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
I just wanted to stop and apologize. During the earlier comments with respect to the sewer plant, I forgot to acknowledge my colleague, Legislator Ford. I would just want to once again thank you for being a strong advocate for our city. And I'm I'm so sorry that I did not mention your name during that time. We really truly appreciate you. Thank you so much for all that you do. Oh, that was the end.
Vice President Dyer.
Reagan.
Hi, Lori Egan, Long Beach. Ms. Diamond, my question is for you. Can you explain why you and President Giralmo walked out of the meeting with no real explanation to the residents? I personally found your behavior very disrespectful, and I would like for you to give an explanation. You're not going to? Do you have one? Like, you just don't want to give one, but you have one? You have a reason? But you walked out of the meeting.
I'm not gonna do this. You can use your time for whatever.
Have you explained to any of your colleagues why you was afraid to get an explanation why your two colleagues walked out of the meeting?
It's not been discussed.
Nothing. Mr. Agassi, have you got an explanation why two city councilors would walk out of a meeting, a public meeting?
I have not. You're right, I asked.
I don't know, I have to say maybe it was because you're a sore loser for me.
Mr. Pinto? Mr. Gussler?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Lester, Long Beach, a couple of issues. I know I brought it up before, the boardwalk, the bikes on the boardwalk, extremely dangerous. I know people get hit every once in a while. I'm sure the city has liability there. We have those signs in the middle. What can be done in that matter?
Looked at a lot of different things.
No answer. Okay. Second thing is, John, Ms. Bendo, you said that she came out, we all agree on the procedure, what we're going to be doing about this. I gotta tell you, that's a blatant, open violation of the open meetings law. I know your council probably, your acting city manager probably advises you otherwise, but I guarantee you, it was. That was something that could have been discussed in public and should have been discussed in public. It's good that you come up with resolutions and stuff, but this is a public meeting and it should have been discussed in public.
If you want to, I want to answer that, you can get to your questions though.
I want my time stopped then. Finally, I asked you about the last meeting about voting for the new president and vice president. And there was, I know Ms. Moore, you were put on the spot at that time. Is it your position? And I couldn't understand what you were saying. On one hand, you said, well, yes, thank you for thinking of me, but on the other hand, you said, no, I don't want it.
I didn't say I didn't want it.
Okay, can you just tell me what your
Yes,
position is?
just to clarify, because I think some people don't understand. What I said last time was absolutely for obvious reasons. However, I wanted people to be aware of the challenges because of the fact that I'm currently running. And I did not want anyone to attack me because, again, a part of that role is being visible, more visible in the city. Now, obviously, I'm already visible, but it would be in a different way. And that was, I was just sharing openly and candidly with everyone. That was my mistake.
So if
That's
it were
all.
offered to you, would you accept it?
For obvious reasons, yes.
That's all I want.
Okay, that's all you
Okay,
want?
that's all.
All right.
Okay. Mr. Huntsky.
Yes, I just want to address the open meetings law issue. We called an executive session so that I could advise the council about various legal procedure that Mr. Benda was referring to wasn't some final procedure that was adopted in secret. To be completely transparent, I was asked to write a legal memo further advising them of the issues that we discussed in that room, and that we would meet at a later point in time during a meeting with council so that I could explain my legal memo to them.
Okay,
That was
well,
it.
I'm glad we have a tape, because that's not what was said. It was said we came to an agreement back there, okay?
He agreed with exactly what I told you, Mr. West.
Okay, open meetings. I know you guys don't believe in it, but that's the law. Thank you.
Mike Laura.
Good evening, council members, Michael Lloyd, Long Beach. On May 31st, Councilman Mandel made a request for legal counsel to find out and look into what is the process to revise the charter as it pertains to adopting the budget. The question is, or question was, it came up, does the issue have to go to a referendum to be voted on by the voters in November, or can the legislation be drafted and a public hearing be held and then voted by resolution of the council? The other topic I'd like to discuss is about arbitration procedures and what's been done in the past. So if you could answer the status of the first question, please.
Yes. I have requested that we get outside counsel's opinion as to a definition of what an austerity budget is, what it would mean for a city as opposed to a school district. I have reached out to the other council members, I have not gotten full support yet. I'm assuming maybe it'll be reviewed after tonight. My goal was to get a definition of an austerity budget, and then the second part, once we are able to define what those parameters are, to find out how the city can go about implementing that, whether that would be by a council vote, or if that would have to require a citywide referendum.
Okay. To follow up on that, it's my understanding, since in the past, it has been changed by local law number 8 in 1970 and local law number 3 in 1974. So upon council deciding what it is that they want to figure out, if a delay past October can't be decided, then a referendum can't be done. So are you saying that outside counsel allows you to go, if the wording is correct, to a public hearing, discussion, and then a vote? But it appears that members of the council can't agree on what the definition of austerity is.
Well, just to clarify, I'm sorry, we don't need to.
Yeah, no, I just want to understand what council had gotten back to you on.
Just to clarify, as a single, individual council member, I can't direct outside council to do anything. We need a majority to direct outside council because it's spending city funds.
Understood.
My definition of what an austerity budget would be very different than what other council members believe it to be, or what the public believes it to be, or what it could be for a school district, which is where we normally see the austerity budget put in place. I feel more comfortable having outside counsel give us those parameters and then tell us what the procedure is going forward. That way we have legal opinion. There can be no claims that it was something done, not to cast any dispersion on corporation counsel, but this also takes it off their shoulders. I think that's the cleanest, most practical.
But are you saying that outside counsel has given their recommendation to you, so you haven't received anything?
At this point, as far as I'm aware, we have not engaged outside counsel on this issue. I sent an email to my fellow council members. I'm waiting to hear back to get, I need majority support. I need 3 council members. I received support from 1 council member. I'm waiting to hear back from my
Thank you. And I just have a follow-up, and I know that was can you describe briefly what the city needs when they discuss arbitration?
It means different things. I'm sorry. It means different things in different contexts. So it could be disciplinary arbitration, it could be interest arbitration with the police or fire union. That's the context.
Specifically, arbitration. contracts, because as far as I understand it, the CSEA never goes to arbitration.
Well, they're playing just grievance arbitrations, they happen, I can guarantee you, all the time.
That part, I was just talking about, you know.
With the CSEA, disciplinary arbitrations, which is phase 2 under the contract, the disciplinary procedure. I think that the type of arbitration that you're referring to.
Financial, more financial.
Yeah, that's only police and fire, that's called interest or impasse arbitration.
Okay, because I was, and I know my time limit is up, I was very surprised that a state financial restructuring board came in and said this is unprecedented. Usually when you go to arbitration, you have your story, your request, and you negotiate it out. But it appears that in this case, or cases, that I don't know how arbitration could result in unprecedented payouts. That's, I didn't like it, I don't understand it.
And the decision is pending from the police arbitrator right now. In addition to that, settlement negotiations have started a group with respect to many different issues. I'm not at liberty to disclose that right now, but suffice it to say that this is very high on the city's radar.
Right. Is outside counsel representing the taxpayers on this, this issue?
Right.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Eddie Guerrero?
Firstly, Mr. Manzel mentioned that he only had support from one other council member. To my knowledge, Councilmember Bendo and Councilmember Moore support the resolution to bring in outside counsel and to return, to change the charter based on austerity budget. Is that correct? Do you support that? Do you support that? Councilmember Moore?
Okay, here's the situation. In terms of the request, I support the request, but that's, at present, right now, that's not our number one priority. There were other things, a lot of the things which were presented today were top priority. I cannot speak for everyone else. We have another serious issue, which is, again, trying not to violate, right, the open meetings law, and at the same time, trying to still meet so that we can run the city in terms of making decisions. Until we figure that out, then I can give you some additional information.
Well, I think that it should be on the agenda for the next meeting and brought to a public hearing, brought to a debate. Again, Mr. XTC, can you please put up your phone?
I'm working.
Why don't you just use your time?
You know, working means serving the people.
Let's be civil now, let's be civil.
Why don't you just finish your comments? Eventually,
You know, this is my time. I want to address the city council president and vice president's immature, childish, and premature exit from good and welfare at the last meeting. Mr. Ramos receives 1 year of pension credits for his role as city council president. In plain language, that means Mr. Ramos reports to the New York State pension system that he spends 30 hours per week doing city council related business. In light of his premature exit and absence at this meeting, Mr. Ramos is clearly not working 30 hours per week. He should voluntarily update his standard workday resolution, or this council and the state of New York should investigate Mr. Ramos. Mr. Ramos and Ms. Diamond's exit at the last meeting show, as well as Ms. Diamond's treatment of Ms. Egan when asking why they walked out, as well as Ms. Diamond's treatment of Ms. McGinnis tonight, show that they do not have the temperament to be president of this council. And an immediate vote should take place to remove them as president and vice president, and instate Councilman Bendo and Councilwoman Moore as president and vice president of this council. And finally, I wanted to share my disgust with Mr. XTC's behavior tonight. You did not answer questions posed by the city council, who are your bosses. You denied questions were asked. And when Mr. Gussler was speaking, you were texting. And when I am speaking, you are texting right now. You told a city council member to stop. No, Mr. XTC, you need to stop disrespecting the public and the council who employs you. Thank you.
Mr. Dean?
Lundin, Long Beach. In respect to the austerity budget, while you're waiting for this unification of outside counsel, maybe they could ask the Long Beach Council that we're already paying money to provide at least a bigger concept of what the austerity budget might be, and that could help you in your analysis of what the outside council might provide, just moving forward. I've been mentioning for a while that I'd like to see some signs that indicate that pedestrians have certain rights that, they should be yielded to by traffic at certain points in times, and also that intersections should not be, when it stops, red light up there, the cars are looking, should be stopping in the middle of the intersection, prevents the people from trying to make right left turns, they can walk across the street, and that continues to be a problem. I understand that there's a traffic study that's happening this summer, but that's for the installation of traffic lights or stop signs at the places that they don't have them on Park Street. The other signs are for the safety of the people that live there. We're a residential community. We're not what we were 50 or 60 or 70 years ago, where we were so bungalow community. We're 100% residential community 100% of the year. Lastly, in June, I mentioned that after the National Grid paved Arizona Avenue, it floods, the water doesn't drain on. Somebody here had said that it would be checked out. We don't know what's here. Still in vacation work. I'd like to know if that study in Mason, so we'll have to look at it from the storms. And I don't know if that was done, but I'd like to know the results.
I think our commissioner actually just left, but
I'm sorry, Katie.
our commissioner is not sitting there right now. I don't know if he's left or if he's coming back. I believe that he left.
All right.
I'm gonna ask,
I
I can answer your question. I'm gonna ask that he get in touch with you. I believe that he has your contact.
I leave my email every day, I leave my phone number. I'd like to see some feedback. Hopefully. Thank you very much.
Ms. Hession?
Eileen Hession, Long Beach, I would also mention that it was a very embarrassing and childlike thing that you two did last week. I assume you just followed Anthony out, and I assume that he's not here tonight because he's humiliated and hopes that some time will go by. Mr. Agostisi, several months ago, you said that you had ordered signs that would be put up on the jetties saying that no one was allowed to be on the jetties. I went to the beach the other day and the lifeguard had to keep running over the jetties to get people off. Also, there have already been a few people falling and somebody, I think, almost drowned and hit the jetties or something. So that's really negligence not to have those signs up there. I know the lifeguards are upset about it. I could go to Staples tomorrow and get those signs, but it took you 2 months and they're still not there. Half the summer's over. That's negligent. Second, I heard of 2 promotions today. Maybe there are more. Congratulations, Ryan. I don't know what the promotion is to. And also, there's a new temporary head at the rec. I assume that both of these, I could be wrong, came with raises. So that means that you are still spending money that we don't have. Also, I'm wondering why, I think it's the CMA that we hired to do something about our finances. They should have been here tonight because the whole meeting was about finances. I also take exception to several times tonight by several different members talking about the raise of the separation payments being, some people are legitimately owed the money. Some people's numbers are correct. Should we really have to say legitimately and correct when we're talking about numbers this big? Somebody ought to be sure that the numbers are right. The restaurant on the boardwalk, Riptides, is a lovely place, but I do notice that they are expanding all across the boardwalk. I'm wondering if they're paying any more money in rent for having more than their little kiosk, or whatever you call the store. We need the money. spread all out across the boardwalk.
Before you leave, Ms. Hutchins, can you just clarify which signs
The
you?
jetties, people are walking on the jetties, and we've been told that they are unstable because they're still settling. People are falling on the jetties, we have a $500 fee if you're caught walking on the jetties, and the lifeguards are spending their time going and telling people you can't be on the jetties. Mr. Agustin had mentioned signs would be put up, we had signs last year.
Enforcement signs, not.
Yeah, signs that would say, stay off the jetties, $500
All
fine.
right, 'cause I was actually up there, did a tour on Friday, and again, the lifeguard showed me that the signs were up for the surfers. You're referring to the enforcement.
The jetties, the
Okay.
enforcement signs,
All right,
yes.
so what is the status of those signs?
Thank you.
No, I'm not aware, Mr. Miranda left, so I can tell you, but, I can tell you that with the signs were up last year, they made absolutely no difference, the lifeguards still have to do the.
It makes some difference, and you know what?
Well, you know.
If we're being sued, Mr. Agustin, then you can say they were warned.
My sentence is very.
There was a sign up.
I'm sorry that, that the bill, my sentence was for the beginning of your session, I apologize. But, what I can tell you is that last year when we dealt with this issue, the lifeguards were doing the exact same thing. Signs are in fact that people, when they want to go on the jet, they're going to the jet.
But it would protect us from a lawsuit.
We also have
And
full
I did talk,
visit.
in also session, I did talk to Mr. Miranda about that, but I don't have the status of the doing signs at this time.
You told me they were ordered last time.
We had talked about, a couple of meetings ago, the potential of having specials start picketing those people. Have we done that? Have we implemented that?
Well, they do occasionally write those VCOs, that does happen. It's going down to city court eventually, but, in terms of the special, there's also an overtime expense involved, if you're doing it after hours.
Oh, I get that, but I mean, we all go down there and see all the people aren't there all the time, so. And we got a lot of specials, so there's some enforcement that could be doing there.
Well, to their credit, I mean, again, I can only speak to what I observed, what I witnessed, last weekend. The specials were in place, and they were out there actually trying to make sure that people were not on the jetty. We also have a whole nother issue, which is the falling rocks, right? So there are other issues, and just to go back to Hession's point, there are a lot of people who visit the beaches, and they're not aware of some of the dangers that are associated with the jetty. Therefore, there's no sign. So we need the signs that are there to make sure that whether you're a visitor or whether you're a young person who's just out there for fun, that you understand that you cannot stand up there because you're not only putting yourself in danger, but you're putting the lifeguards in danger because they have to risk their lives to try to save you. So I think we need to move forward and make sure that the signs are there and that we should expedite that process.
Without the signage, it's difficult to ticket them, because they have them.
Correct.
Ms. Bolasevich? Mr. Camden?
Steve Camden, 10 West Beach Street. Just wanted to go over one thing on the presidency of the city council. First off, I do want to thank Ms. Simon for the time you have served and the same things you've done. I don't want it to be seen like you haven't worked hard. You have worked hard. The point of the discussion of changing leadership is the fact that there was a primary that was unusual early, and it left us in a very awkward situation with a long period of time between now and January when the change happens. So that's why the concept is not mean to be disrespectful, but it's for the future, and there's so many crucial things going on that's why I bring this up. Anissa, and I also respect the fact that you have gone back and forth on why and why not being the president would be good for you or not good for you at this moment. I can understand and respect that, because it is going to be very hard, and there's that weird period of time during an election and until January, when the new people are elected, we see what happens. So therefore, I am asking that the city council please work together for the good of Long Beach, okay? For the best interest of the next few months till January and appoint John Bendo as the president. So therefore, we can make actions that are jointly open, jointly discussed, open policy, that we can all work together. That's the whole point of hopefully the volume of people that spoke in primary was to say, please, please, think of Long Beach. Please, do the right thing, okay? And if we all work together, that's the only reason we're here. No one's here to cause problems, no disrespect to Ms. Agassiz, but we want you to do a great job. We want a council that talks to each other and works together and does a great job. We want everyone to be part of this. The committees you make, the comprehensive plans you make, that's all of our jobs, not just yours. We want to be part of this next 6 months during this huge change coming to Long Beach. So please, assign a leader to help us help you. That's all we want to do. Nothing negative, nothing against people, nothing bad, all Long Beach oriented, okay? And the people are there to help, that want to help respectfully, okay? And respect people, everybody's past, and move toward the future, and let's leave the baggage behind, and let's move forward, please. So I beg you to please, whoever is now can talk to each other, please talk and get something resolved for the next meeting in August, I believe it's August 6th or so, that we have some actions or leadership so we can take actions as a town together. Thank you.
Andrew Mannion? Just state your name for the record.
Andrew Mannion, Long Beach. This past 4th of July, I was involved in an accident on the boardwalk that seemed very horrible. It all started when I heard a little boy that was missing, so I decided to help out in the search efforts. As I entered the boardwalk, it was undeniable and obvious that the majority of people didn't understand that there were lanes for walking and separate lanes for bikes. I had to weave through traffic of people and groups walking in the middle of the bike lane. I finally heard the news that the kid was found, so I turned around and headed home. Yet again, I was faced with people crowding the bike lane, and I had to weave through the crowds of people in the bike lane. As I was almost at the end of the boardwalk, a young girl ran 5 feet in front of my bike. I had to stop on a dime, but the skidding bike tripped her. The father of the girl then came up to me yelling nonstop, calling the police and an ambulance to settle the situation. I then started to panic as the man was verbally harassing me, not knowing what to do and how to handle the situation. People from a nearby restaurant, Beach Burger, came out to help me and calm him down, including the chef. As the father was yelling at me and the people around me, he clearly seemed puzzled when we mentioned that there was a bike lane. As we pointed at a bike lane sign right in front of where the accident happened, he seemed to suddenly realize that there was a separate lane for the bikes to go. A total of 8 police officers and an ambulance then arrived, and I told them the exact story I'm telling you today. They then said that thankfully the little girl wasn't hurt. Traumatized, I went home and watched Yankees as I usually do. However, I couldn't get my mind off the situation that occurred that evening. After days of thinking nonstop about the event, I finally thought about what could have prevented this. During that time, I came up with 2 ideas. My first idea was having a barrier along the sides of the bike lane that would clearly indicate the bike lane from the pedestrian. Although the difference in the way that the wood planks are lined up is used to make and indicate a barrier between the pedestrian and bike lanes, it proves to be not enough and is mistaken for more as a style for the boardwalk rather than a barrier for the bicycles. I was thinking of the lines that would be a standout color, preferably a light color, that would say bike lane with arrows pointing to the bike lane. This second idea would be to add signs on all entrances to the boardwalk. This sign would show all visitors where the lanes for walking are and the middle of the lane is for bicycles. This could give them a complete understanding of where the bicycle lanes are and show them how they are used. I believe that everybody was lucky in this situation with the potential damage that could have been done. God forbid someone could have been ran over by the bike and got a concussion. Another person could sustain life-threatening damage from a hit of a bike going 10 to 15 miles per hour. This is an issue beyond the looks and styles of the boardwalk. This is an issue of the safety of the residents and visitors of Long Beach. We should do everything we can to prevent something like this happening again.
I just want to I know that each of us on the council have spoken with, whether it's the commissioner, the police commissioner, the DPW commissioner, the superintendent, all the different folks who work to operate our boardwalks and our beach on a regular basis as to ways to kind of work to solve the issues that arise. I think we all recognize that there's work that we all need to do in terms of making it user-friendly for bike riders, as well as for people crossing over to get to the beach, as well as for just people walking and out with their families. So I appreciate you coming and bringing it to our attention. It's something that we've all discussed, worked on, and hopefully, I know the commissioner just mentioned before he walked out that there are looking at a number of different options. There are some signs, there are sometimes, some people move the signs once they're in place. I know it's not a perfect solution, but I think that it's something that we've all grappled with, as well as the folks in the administration as well. But I appreciate, again, you coming here tonight. Anybody else want to? With that, everybody get home safely. Thank you.